In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. This week, we talked about two things: the phrase structure rules or the grammar of English, and other languages, which is in the form of, let's say, phrase structure rules, okay, that we introduced at the beginning of this week. And we said that in English we need movement in addition to phrase structure rules. Let us go to, let's say, other languages. Go to page 34. You remember the Japanese example that appears as 19 on page 34. You remember Niwawa soku desu, which meant something like the garden is there. Okay? And line 2, which says garden there is. Okay? You remember when we want to make a question, we change number 19 to something like number 19b. From 19a, we change it to 19b. Let us see. What is the difference between 19a and 19b? We see exactly they are the same types of things except for the last word, which is added. So we said at that time in Japanese, when we want to make a question, we add something like a ka at the end of the sentence. Ka. So niwa wa soku desu ka is a question. Okay? Do we need movement? No. In Japanese, it is something like adding a word like ka, exactly ka, to the end of the sentence. Well, it is exactly like Arabic. In Arabic, again, we don't need movement, especially in Fusha. We just add one word, hal, okay, to the beginning of the sentence. In Japanese, it appears to the end, but in Fusha, we add hal to the beginning of the sentence. Hal to the beginning of the sentence. You remember we said hal appeared to the beginning of the sentence. هناك حديقة, I suppose. هل هناك حديقة? If I'm right. Anyway, هل هناك حديقة? So we add hal, no movement. In English, we need movement. In let's say, Arabic, we do not need. In Japanese, we do not need. So some languages need movement, some languages do not need. Again, the same thing is true for Farsi. Farsi is like Arabic. In fact, formal Farsi, we add aya to the beginning of the sentence. So if we say Hasan injast, Hasan injast, yani it means well, Hasan is here. Hasan injast, formal Farsi. Okay, so we say Aya Hasan injast, formal Farsi. But so we have something like Aya to the beginning of the sentence. Okay, no movement in Farsi. Of course, when we are talking like informal Farsi, it is like like Iraqi, we don't need something like hal in Iraqi. Okay, so اسمك, no hal at the beginning. No, اسمك, no hal to the beginning. بارد, no hal to the beginning. But when we want to say something like, let's say, in Fusha, we add something like hal to the beginning. Okay, so it's like that. So all in all, there are two types of languages: languages that need movement and languages that do not need movement. English is a language that needs movement, And as the book says, Japanese is a language that does not need movement. We need to know these things before we begin our next session's program. Just study carefully, understand these things, because we want to talk about something like locality for the next week, which appears to, which you have to know things like the ones that I introduced today. Thank you very much. I suppose it is okay because the lessons were difficult. I'm not going to have to finish the 50-minute limit. Okay, so it is less than 50-minute limit, but it is okay. Okay, thank you very much, and everything is okay for this week.